Hey everyone, Shawnta Jackson here, the author of the Journal of a Woman with Lived Experiences, a 21-day guided journal. In addition to being an author, I'm also an entrepreneur, a mother, and your favorite thought leader. And my purpose in life is to help people to help themselves and others. And my purpose for this show is to bring on individuals that I feel that can enlighten, inspire, and inform us. My goal is for us to just open up our minds, right? And just speak to become a better version of ourselves. And my next guest is Meckell Milburn. She is a health and wellness coach and also the owner of a wellness business called Revolutionary Healing. Meckell is going to talk to us about how we can best be grounded and how to get grounded and what does that mean? What does that mean? So mindfulness, centering ourselves, and I guess she'll tell us more, but looking within and then also identifying that and finding that divine wisdom that's inside of all of us. Everyone, please welcome my next guest, Meckell Milburn.
Hello.
Hey, Meckell.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. So Meckell, you and I go way back. We go back, I think it was 2010. And so 2010, we were both in Las Vegas, health educators for a teen pregnancy prevention program for the local health department there. And I remember you were just beginning your journey with your locks.
What?
Yeah,
you started the last set of locks.
Say it again.
That was my last set of locks. This is my second set, so it's been a journey for sure.
Yes. And so since then, so for one, I learned a lot from you. And I wanted to wait to say this publicly because I know we talk a lot offline, but I've learned so much from you, just even my facilitation skills, I learned from you how to be more centered and grounded. You are a very peaceful soul, and I'm older than you, but you modeled a lot for me, from your behavior and just your non-judgmental, your understanding. And so, and I appreciate the fact that we've continued to communicate and stay connected throughout the years.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. You want me to cry?
No, I don't.
That's really special to hear, especially coming from someone who I see as a mentor. So thank you for those words. I will receive that. Thank you.
Okay. And so for today's topic, I wanted to talk a little bit about what I see you post about. And this is also on your website as well, staying grounded. But before we do that, can you let us know a little bit about, just who you are and a little bit about your company, Revolutionary Healing?
Sure. Hello to everyone that's tuning in right now. I'm really honored to be here. Again, my name is Meckell Milburn. I use she, her pronouns. And I am many things. I am a human being who is evolving and learning and growing and, just really taking this journey that we call life step by step. And one portion of the path right now is Revolutionary Healing, which is my organization. It's a holistic health and wellness organization that centers Black women and femmes. And what we do is offer meditation, yoga, holistic wellness coaching, and herbal medicine. And all of those things I see as being really integral to, even when we talk about this topic, getting grounded and reconnecting. All of those are individual paths that can offer us guidance to find out more about ourselves, to find out more about what healing looks like for us, and to be able to tap in and just get curious and be able to honor the things that are coming up as what we might be needing.
Thank you for that. You speak about Black liberation, and then you also speak about the decolonization of spirituality. Before we get into getting grounded and for you to give us some tips, can you help us to understand what Black liberation means to you and the decolonization of spirituality?
Yeah. Whew. I mean, what a very large term, right? When we say Black liberation. And there are many ways that we may feel individually called into doing work in the liberation of Black people. And I see one of my paths as this healing work, revolutionary healing, as one way to support the liberation of Black folks. And the reason I say that is because historically, there have been many things that have worked to systematically disconnect us from ourselves, right? From the moment we were stolen from the shores of Africa. And since then, everything from slavery to capitalism to traumas, both our own as well as generational. There are so many things that we're constantly trying to work at removing from our that are disconnecting us. And so I see healing work as an opportunity to tune in, to really listen to the things that are coming up for us, to really um, find out more about our individual, what healing looks like for us individually, right? So there's this stillness. We're able to find out what grounding looks like for us. We're able to walk the paths that our ancestors walked. We're able to be able to heal generational traumas and learn what we need in any moment, because that's been something that's been historically, just stripped away from us in different ways. So to be able to, in a moment, know what my emotions are, to be able to, in a moment, know, um, what nourishes me in that moment. What do I need to eat in this moment? Am I needing rest? How can I give myself that without feeling guilt? We know that there's this trope that exists that says, the strong Black woman, for instance, and that is something that has been a message that we've received historically, and in reality, we have an opportunity to disconnect from that and to really be able to say, okay, yes, there's a lot that I can do, and I'm carrying my community, I'm carrying my family, and I'm really striving to change my lineage, but what do I need in this moment? And how do I honor that unapologetically? And so this is just one of the paths, because if all of us are able to tune in, if all of us are able to really know what's happening at any moment and able to give ourselves that, then, I mean, we could change the world. And I do believe that. So.
Okay. And we have Amina Harvey checking in from Las Vegas. Hey, Amina. She says ditto when I was describing my perception and my experience of you and with you. So she says ditto. And we have Cassie checking in. Cassie, what city are you checking in from? Yes, Black Girl Magic for sure. So let's talk about colonization and the decolonization of spirituality. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, well, when we look at the ways in which spirituality has been capitalized and kind of presented to us as something that is to be consumed in a very particular type of way, similar with the wellness community and wellness industry. There's a specific way that, we're supposed to tap in, and it has to be meditation. It's like, it has to be meditation. You have to have the privilege of having this time to sit for, 30 minutes, or have a safe, quiet space, or be able to even afford to go on some meditation retreat somewhere. and or you're supposed to eat very specific things to be well and take care of yourself. And so, what decolonizing that looks like is first understanding that we have the wisdom within us to understand, to know what we're needing. Again, we're creating a path to understand ourselves better, right? And so, once we're able to tap in, we'll understand that it looks different for different people. And so, for me, maybe grounding does not come through movement or through meditation, maybe through movement, through dance, through yoga, through actually tuning into the body and, taking a pause. Um, and understanding that we also have access to the ways in which our ancestors, may have gotten grounded or taken care of themselves or tapped in, right? So creating some space in whatever way feels accessible. And I think that is the part that feels really important, is making it accessible. And so when in my work, if you and I are having a heart to heart conversation, I'm not coming, even with 15 years of working in the wellness industry, or, whatever I may perceive as my titles or certifications. I am but a vessel, so I'm there in that space and grateful to be able to create a space that supports someone in finding out what works best for them so we can walk that path together. And I don't have preconceived notions on what that needs to look like. But it's a beautiful path. It can be a scary path. It can be a challenging path. But my work through revolutionary healing is created to be able to hold whatever may come up through that process.
Okay, and you also, so you work directly with individuals. I know that you offer yoga classes virtually and different courses and workshops, but you also have individual clients.
Yes. Yeah. Through the holistic wellness coaching, I can work one on one with folks, and we create space. Just so I was saying, there are different tools that might come into practice, but it's really starting with a heart to heart conversation, really listening to what your experience is, what might be coming up for you. There are folks who come that are already really curious about trying different things or getting to know themselves better. And so together we create this partnership where we do that exploration and we learn tools together and we talk and um, and we check in.
Now, what's the difference? So, when you're saying health and wellness,
Mm-hmm.
to me, based off of what you're saying, I'm getting the vibe of more so like mental, more than. I'm thinking that's the vibe I'm getting is mental, more mental health. So, with that said, what would be the difference between you as a health and wellness coach versus someone going to see a professional counselor or therapist?
Mm-hmm. Really good question. Um, I do see the work as physical, mental, and spiritual. But I do think that most people that reach out, we do end up connecting first around that mental health piece. Yeah, and I think that is the case because when we talk about the things that are disconnecting us and distracting us and kind of preventing us from really listening to and honoring what we need, a lot of times that can come through the lens of mental health experiences, feeling really stressed out, feeling really anxious, experiencing depression. Um, and so we can have a conversation about that through multiple pathways. And that's really the difference. So I don't just see mental health as something that is pathologized, that, we need to, I don't know, meditate or have again, prescribed method of addressing. Sometimes it is the physical, right? Sometimes it does have something to do with our basic needs getting met, and really recognizing how to call those things into our lives. Sometimes it is the spiritual. I feel like somebody watching may connect with this, but there are times when we may be getting messages that there's a particular direction that we're headed. Maybe there are life decisions that are calling to us, but we're ignoring them. So we're like, this lane is safe, this job is safe, this partner is safe, and really ignoring the messages that are coming. And once we continue down that path, that is not the path that's necessarily laid out for us. Sometimes it comes with some disruption of life, some stress, some anxieties. And so that could be a very spiritual way of approaching how to tap into, listen to really what the heart and divine wisdom are saying, and working together on trying to align with that, if that's what someone may be wanting.
Okay, so when we're talking, you were mentioning grounded, grounded, grounded. What does it mean to be grounded, and how do we start the process?
Yeah, again, good question. Grounded, if you ask 10 different people, they may give you 10 different definitions. I see it as being what you would call centered, feeling first connected to the self, feeling present in our body, feeling balanced. It could mean feeling connected to the earth. This Mother Earth has this really divine energy, and if you've ever spent time in nature, you probably have tapped into that, where you just kind of feel this expansion, you feel this ability to breathe a little deeper. That is a feeling of groundedness. And it doesn't have to be anything grand. It can be found in very simple things. For instance, I'm drinking some tea right now. There really is a sense of groundedness that comes from me drinking herbal tea. It really slows me down. I'm able to really just have a moment of stillness for myself. But for folks who are watching, there may be things that you're already doing in your life that offer grounding, and that is a great place to start. So if there are moments that you feel like you're able to breathe really deeply, you're able to just kind of feel settled and connected with yourself and your own spirit, or something larger than ourselves, like spirit or God, those moments are grounding moments. It can also be moments where you are in your flow. So let's say you enjoy doing art, and you just kind of lose track of time when you're engaging in art. That could be a sense of grounding. And so sometimes the conversation is, what are our sources of grounding? But sometimes the conversation is, how do we maintain those sources of grounding? Because those are often the first things that we let go of when we start getting stressed or we start feeling really overwhelmed. Like, I don't have time to do art. So, how do we honor the things that bring that sense of ease to us? Because the more we do that, the better relationship we're able to build with ourselves. So, we recognize more quickly when something has shifted, when things are off balance, and we're more easily able to bring ourselves back to center.
Okay, and tapping into our divine wisdom. I believe that there is wisdom in all of us. For me, tapping into my divine wisdom is through me seeking. I seek wisdom. I seek understanding, and I actually ask for it. And when you're working with your clients, what are some of the activities or some of the yes, I guess, what are some of the activities that you do or that you recommend for your clients? Like, walk me through it. Let's do it now. How can you help me to take a deeper dive and to tap more into my own divine wisdom?
Mm-hmm. And we could do a quick meditation. If you're
They watch and they go fall asleep. I don't think they're ready for that. Yeah, I don't think they're ready for that. Really quick, let me check in on YouTube. We have my mom. We were talking about family and how, they are our supporters. Yeah, so my mom says good morning and thank you for having this awesome topic. She wants to know what your fees are and if you accept insurance.
Ooh, okay. So the insurance is really something that I am happy to talk about. I'm currently not accepting insurance, but as a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, we are in the process of being given billing codes. So anytime now, because it's been about a year, they've been doing more research on the benefits of health and wellness coaching. We will be able to accept insurance in the fairly near future. So I'm excited about that. And so for now, I am maintaining to try to keep services as accessible as possible by offering a range of different ways for people to engage. So there are free resources on the website, like free guided meditations and a check-in activity, which, Shawnta, to answer your last question, that is one way. There's a circle of life that I created based on the 8 dimensions of wellness. And it's a really good tool that folks can use to just kind of do a check-in, because how often do we have regular check-in practices for ourselves? So that's a free resource also. There are
resource. Like, give me a sample question.
So
Will.
The wellness wheel has different areas of life, like intimacy, your physical environment, your physical health, sexuality, and from 0 to 10, you're basically weighing out in that moment how nourished you feel in that area of your life. And it's a tool that can be really supportive and visually being able to just recognize without judgment, right? It's not about judging ourselves or saying, oh, I haven't been eating well, bad me. It's more so about bringing that awareness so that if we have been feeling off balance, we are able to, in that moment, say, okay, I know that I haven't been feeling super well lately. And I'm noticing that I'm rating my physical environment pretty low. Yeah, I'm pretty stressed out since COVID started and, my living space isn't necessarily desirable. So how can I look at both some areas we rated as low, but also if there are some areas we rated as high, what's contributing to that? What are the things we can praise as contributing to us feeling more balanced in life? So that is something everyone has access to. It's on the website, revolutionaryhealing.org. There are yoga classes. Some are pay what you can, meaning donation only, or not paying anything, or $7 drop-ins. And then meditation. There are one-on-one sessions, but I also have free events that are listed on the website as well. One that's coming up on Monday, which is a new moon meditation and intention setting. That is free and accessible. And then for one-on-one coaching, there's a sliding scale. So first, for the rest of the year, which is only a few weeks now, so it doesn't sound, as good as it did a few months ago. But for the rest of the year, all sessions are $50 flat fee. And then when 2021 starts again, then the sliding scale is from $79 to $99. And even with that, I'm always looking for ways to, create pathways for folks to access health coaching. So looking for grants, because my belief is that Black folks should not have to pay for any healing work, not at this point, so that's something long-term would be for it to be free and accessible.
And so you're also available to serve as a facilitator or health and wellness coach for others who may have businesses or organizations if they're looking for someone to come in.
Absolutely. So when we talk about grounding or using different tools, meditation, even yoga, all of that is are things that I am happy to offer to communities. I know there are people who want something for a closed group. They're like, I just want a yoga session for me and my friends, and that's something that they want to offer. Or your coworkers, your organization. All of that is possible as well, and I love connecting with folks in that way.
And you're doing that virtual?
Yeah, virtual right now. Absolutely.
Okay. And for yoga, there are physical and mental and spiritual benefits. Can you tell us about, for the different yoga poses, could you, for those of us who do not practice yoga or we're familiar with it and we do the moves, like I've done all of the moves on different vacations and excuse me, in different classes, but I really don't understand, like there's certain moves that open the heart or that do certain things. Could you explain that to us?
Yeah, well, that could definitely be a longer conversation, but so yoga means union. Yoga means to yoke. So we're talking about a practice that is the union of mind, body, and spirit. And so there are benefits in each of those areas. Spiritually, we're talking about mindfulness, grounding, being in the body. Mentally, we're talking about decreased anxiety and depression. We're talking about, lowering stress and stress hormones, among many other. And physically, also, there are lots of benefits around joints and flexibility and stability, so many. When we look at what you're talking about, like something opening the heart, that is like a spiritual concept. When we talk about our heart chakra, which is right here, and heart chakra really represents our relationship with ourselves as well as other people and the world around us. And you may hear people use the language heart opener, or something that's opening your heart. And it's really an opportunity to practice kind of spiritually opening that heart. So really wanting to shift for the better, the way we relate to other people and the way we relate to ourselves. And so movements, for instance, a seated cat cow, which if you're seated either on a chair or in crisscross applesauce on your mat, it would be gazing up towards the ceiling or sky, really opening the chest up, allowing your heart to shine forward. So we're actually embodying this practice of opening ourselves up. And there are other poses that do that as well, but it really is a great practice to be connected to.
Okay. And I put this on the screen earlier, but Alfonso Mayo, he's watching in Baltimore, and he says that being grounded is a sense of peace that allows you to operate in your greatness and greatness potential. You're not distracted, and it's a sense of stillness. It's when you know that God is present and there's no distractions that can break it. Thank you for that, Alfonso. And then,
well said, Alfonso.
yeah, yes, and Elois Kelly, she has a question for you, and she wants to know if you are finding, coaching or more coaches during this time. Is it? She says, it's stressful. I'm sorry. I have my camera in front of me and I can't see my screen, so I'm sorry, you all. Go ahead and read the comment, Meckell, because I can't see it.
It says, do you find you're coaching more coaches during this time? It's stressful for us too. Hello, coach. Thank you for that question. I find that, not necessarily everyone would use the language coaches, but I do find that I've been connecting more with other coaches lately in a more collegial role, and kind of sharing and being able to talk through some of the frustrations maybe with things that may be moving in our own life. But I do overall feel like there has been a movement where people who are doing the supporting of and holding of other folks have been coming in. And so that includes coaches, but other folks who might identify as healers, caretakers, and family. There's a lot of people seeking support that hold those roles. And it makes sense, right? Thinking about the definition that Alonzo shared, when we look at 2020 and we look at this, what people were calling the great stillness or something like that. We've had this time that wasn't planned, that many of us have found ourselves being highly aware of the different places our energy goes. When things slow down, we're all of a sudden so much more aware of how much energy it takes to, take care of ourselves, get our basic needs met. A lot of folks kind of name this. They're like, I'm not even driving to work anymore, and I'm still exhausted, or Zoom is exhausting. And so there's been this movement globally where people who weren't even accessing stillness in the same ways before, or people who have been working during this time to support others, are noticing how their bandwidth has been stretched. And so they're seeking support. And yeah, I love working with people who are caretaking and supporting other folks.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that there are a lot of us who have the role of supporting others, and who are leaders in our homes and within our fields, or our churches, or our groups or organizations. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to have, and I don't consider myself as a coach, and it's not something that I necessarily aspire to do. However, I do offer a lot of private mentoring and strategy sessions. And you and we had one last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually posted this on Facebook, everyone. If you subscribe to my mailing list, you will have the opportunity to take advantage of some of those complimentary mentoring and strategy sessions. And I'll start those in January. And what I'm finding, the individuals that gravitate towards me are, they're either young entrepreneurs. When I say young, I'm not talking about in age, I'm talking about in the process of entrepreneurship. And they're getting started, and just and people have so many different ideas. This is what I'm thinking to do this, and I'm trying to figure out what should my niche be, and how to expand my target audience, or what, I just registered my company as an LLC, and I just like to talk to you, and what next? What do you suggest? This is where I'm going. So sometimes it is, and this goes back to Elois's question and comment, it is beneficial to be able to talk to someone who is like-minded and who understands, and it's a non-judgmental space. And what I like to do a lot is just share my experiences. I don't know everything, and I don't pretend to know, but I tell you what I know and what my experiences are, and what I would probably do moving forward, and what I would advise for you. And then sometimes in me helping others, I'm actually helping myself, because I'm hearing myself out loud, and I'm getting my aha moments, like, take your own advice, Shawnta.
Yep, that definitely happens. And you are really good at that. I mean, we were talking about this, I was able to share that with you, but you have such a natural curiosity that you are able to ask really important questions. So for yourself and through your own process. So when you're sharing that with other people, you are able to cover everything from the broad to the really detailed, and that resonate. That's something that folks need. It's not just this, lofty concept, but it's really practical advice around how I can access those things for myself. So that, yeah, it's a skill and a gift for sure.
Okay. Let's go back to the comments. Danielle says she loves this. As a yoga lover, it's important to engage your core, love the knowledge. And then Elois she has a follow-up comment. Meckell, please.
You are correct. I'm running into more fellow coaches that are really pouring into others so much that they're getting burned out. Ooh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And you bring up a really good point too, Alois, which is, you know, I am also on my path of maintaining groundedness, right? So as I hold space for other folks, it's something that I'm also dealing with. This year, I've had so many changes in my life. At every stage, I've had to really fall back, reconnect, and be like, okay, what do I need now? Okay, what does my morning routine need to be now? Okay, what are my tools that I need to lean on now? And I feel like, gratefully through, the privilege I have of having a background in health and wellness, integrative health, things like that, I have learned a lot of tools along the way, but that doesn't mean that it's not accessible to other folks. And so that's where that relationship can come in handy, being able to stay connected, have that accountability, have folks to just kind of share with. Is similar to what you were saying, Shawnta. You'll have those aha moments sometimes. Or I've had clients that were experiencing something and we're working through it, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good sign for me also to return to this practice that I have left by the wayside. So yeah, it's a process, and I'll share this. I share this a lot, but it's really stuck with me. I had a professor once in grad school for, I think it was the business of healing. And it was this amazing woman of color from the Bay Area. And she defined a healer as someone who is committed to their own healing. And that was it. That's the definition. And so that really stuck with me because it is through my own practice and process and learning and, and growing that, and my commitment to myself, right? That one, I'm able to create space for others, filling my cup up, right? And being able to create space. But also, it's a shared experience. My experience is not unlike yours. And that piece, I think, is really helpful. Again, when we talk about decolonizing health and wellness and spirituality, it's not some hierarchical relationship where I am just some guru who is like, I have it all figured out. That's not it. I'm also in process, and it's that relationship that I think can be so impactful.
You know what? I like when you said that I'm not some guru, and I like I'm above you, and I know, because this is what we're all seeing. And anyone chime in, this is what we're all seeing on the internet right now. Everyone is giving advice, and you shouldn't be doing this, and this is how you should be thinking. And if you're thinking like this, I saw one woman. It was an interview that she had posted on Instagram, and she was saying that there are too many Black authors that are talking about trauma and their experiences, and that we need to find something else to talk about. There's too many people doing this, and everyone comes from their own place, and maybe she has a lack of understanding. But if it's healthy, and I like the definition that you said that your professor shared with you. The definition of a healer is a person who is healing, right? So I like the fact that you said, I'm not above you, and I don't know everything. We're processing. I have the privilege of having the knowledge and I can utilize these tools and resources, and I can share them with you. But I like the fact that you're not coming from this perspective to where you know more, you're better than someone, because it's a lot of, and I think what people are doing, I think they're emulating what they see others do, and they think that's what they're supposed to do. I listen to a lot of motivational and inspirational speakers, and spiritual speakers as well. And I see people emulating them. You don't just be yourself, just be true to yourself. And something may work for you in December that may not work for you in January, as far as your grounding and your practice and what it is that you want to do. Even just like with me, like physically, I'm working out. I bought all of this exercise equipment and I was really excited and I really did it. And then I said I wanted to go outside to walk, and I keep switching. It's like, no, now I need a treadmill. No. Now I'm going to do the stairs. No. So now I'm going to meditate in the morning and I'm going to journal and pray. Then I had to get on myself about not feeling bad if I switch my routine. It's like, oh, you have to pray. You have to meditate. You have to read this. You have to do this. And no, I don't. I don't want to do this today. Today, I want to listen to Beyonce and I want to dance. And I want to get in the shower and put on my body wash. Kristen is watching from Las Vegas, Kristen Woodruff, and she has a company, Buttered in Bliss. It's butteredinbliss.com, everyone. And she sells body butters and body oils. But one of the advice that she gives, she does this podcast on Instagram with single moms. This is her audience. And she talks about getting in the shower and washing things away. And you say to yourself, and so I even do that when I wash my face. I massage just, my muscles and everything. And I tell myself that even preparing for this show, I'm cleansing away my lymph node. I'm clearing my lymph nodes. I'm opening up my throat so that I can say the right thing. And anything that was bothering me, I do that mentally. And I think that's what you were saying also about yoga and the pose. It's not necessarily the concept of healing and love and opening your heart. It's not physical. It's more so, even though there are physical benefits to being spiritually and mentally grounded, opening up your heart, that concept, right? It's kind of like in your mind, that spirituality. So I'm babbling. I feel a little bit.
You said so much in that. I mean, one thing that stands out is that this concept of compassion. When you're saying you bought workout equipment, but then you want to take a walk, but then just that process of what I'm hearing is you having awareness that your needs were shifting and you were giving yourself that. And so often we can't have compassion for ourselves when things are shifting. And if anything, it has been a recurring theme this year. It's that, we could all use a little bit more compassion for ourselves and wash away some of that guilt, because what comes from that when we're saying, oh, I told myself I was gonna, eat vegan this month and I only made it to day 10 or something, but there are other things present or whatever may have gotten into the way for you. So the guilt shows up, the guilt pops up, and we start sending messages to ourselves as though we are not worthy of being grounded and balanced and listening and tuning in. So what would our experience be like if we were able to actually have compassion in those moments and say, okay, I know I just spent money on this workout equipment. Today, I'm just going to go for a walk, and that's where we're going to be at. And that's it. And we're accepting ourselves as we are in that moment.
Yeah. And thank you, Lorinda, for checking in from Chicago. She says to be true to self, utilizing resources and knowledge that aligns to self to be centered and balanced. And yes, compassion for self. She said that she loves it. And Danielle has a question for you. And then we're going to go ahead and close out. But before we get to Danielle's question, in addition to clearing out your own, being kind to yourself and clearing out your own voice. Sometimes that voice, it's in our head, but sometimes it's the voice of others. Mm-hmm. And someone probably said something to you. So for example, I'll be a little vulnerable and I'll speak about my experience. And I talk about this in my first journal entry in my book. You're a smart, dumb bitch. No one is ever going to want you. You don't have shit. You'll never have shit. And you'll never find anyone else like me. So imagine when certain things happen, as far as like relationships, I'm dating, imagine you kind of hear that voice sometimes. So that, or um, excuse me.
Yeah, take your time.
That, or sometimes it's like even professionally. Like I've had someone told me that they made me. Like I've brought you this far. And so when some things don't go right and when it doesn't go your way, or when you have a challenge, sometimes it's not the voice, it's not you. Sometimes it's that voice of that other person that you have to deal with, and you have to be mindful, to tune that out.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, you all, and I don't have any.
Take your time. I'll answer your question. Take your time.
Yeah, go ahead. And Danielle has a question. If you can answer her question, and then I'll be back.
Yeah. And I'll answer your question in 1 second, Danielle. I do want to speak to what Shawnta was sharing. And first and foremost, I think it's important to hold the reality that if someone's voice sounds aligned with the first example she gave from her first journal entry, where they're demeaning you and, making these very abusive statements towards you, that is an abusive situation. And so that path of navigating that situation might look very different in that instance, because the first thing I would be thinking about is safety, and basic needs being met, and if possible, a potential plan to be able to be away from that person. Um, so holding that during this conversation, when it comes to other people who may have opinions or things about you and may not be believing in you. I've heard this said, I don't know where this quote came from, but what other people think of you is none of your business. And that really is the reality, is other people's perception of you is much more of a reflection of them and where they're at in that moment. And that's not to say it doesn't impact us and it doesn't hurt or sting sometimes. But that's an example of a situation that having a support, somebody to talk things through with, and also having someone there to affirm you. And this is where, when I say my work centers Black women and femmes, one reason is that we have, as Black women and femmes, there are not enough places where we're being affirmed regularly. And so that's something that I firmly believe, if we're creating space together, if we're building a relationship, making sure you know who's on your team, being connected with the people, both professionally as well as in your personal life, who see you and are affirming you and are loving you. Because it's important to counteract some of those messages, the negative messages, with more positive ones. And again, it can be better, easier said than done. But I'd be happy to talk more with folks about that. And I'm going to go to Danielle's question. Is it important to do your practice at the same time every day for it to be most effective? No. I mean, if routine is something that is grounding for you, routine can be healing, right? For some of us, being able to add some structure into our days, especially at a time like during a pandemic where things are out of our control, maybe things are feeling more overwhelming, routine and structure can be beautiful. Maybe every day, same time could be something that's really grounding for you, but it's not vital for it to be the same time. For some of us, we don't have access to the same time every day, and that's okay. It's really about figuring out what you need. Is it a weekly check-in? Is it a daily moment of stillness? What works better for your energy? Are you more of a morning person, an evening person? When do you have time? or maybe your schedule's always changing, so it's finding stillness or checking in at moments that you have access to. So it really doesn't have to be. And that kind of goes back to this idea of, just being able to be in tune and in flow with ourselves, because I'm less concerned about creating a ritualized practice. For some of us, it's like, okay, I do the same thing every day, but are we being present? Are we actually giving ourselves that space? It's the quality over quantity. Thank you for that question. Thanks everyone for the questions. It's been really amazing.
Yeah, we have a lot of comments. Lorinda, she says, thank you, Danielle, for speaking on how negative perspectives about self can dwell in our subconscious and being mindful of that. And Lorinda wants to know, are there any apps that you recommend to assist with staying on balance or staying on a balanced mindset?
I don't have any like apps that I'm just like, yes, this is the one. I know that people have found Calm or Headspace. Some people like it, some people don't. I would say those are two that seem really accessible right now, and try it out, since they tend to have, I think, a lot of the resources that could support a practice. Could there be any other apps? There's nothing that comes up for me right now, but I'll give some more thought to that.
But you did say that on your website, revolutionaryhealing.org, you do have resources. And so, Lorinda, I don't know if you tuned in or not during this time, but she was talking about, like, for example, the 8 dimensions of wellness. And then there's an activity where you can kind of check in with yourself to see where you're at and how you feel about yourself and in that space, and whether and I know you mentioned sexuality, relationships, but is it also professional, educational attainment? Is that included in your dimension?
On there. So I try to be intentional about the different areas. So I feel like it's pretty holistic, and there are some reflective questions as well. So that's on revolutionaryhealing.org under free resources. There's also a few guided meditations and even an affirmation for Black and POC folks. That, again, we could all use more affirmation in our life. So you have access to those. You can feel free to listen to them as often as you want. And yeah, enjoy.
So I would like to share in closing my positive affirmations that I say to myself. So I write them. I have they're on my wall in my bedroom, and one of them is I tell myself, I am Shawnta Jackson. I am proud. Look at what you've done. Look at what you've done. And then when I'm being down on myself, and I'm saying, when I'm demotivated, should I say, you got this. God is with you. Always has been. Always will be. And either you want this or you don't. You have a vision. Follow your vision. Follow your vision. And then even before this today's discussion, I mentioned that in the shower when my routine, I'm opening up my throat, and so that I can say the right things and have the confidence. And sometimes I even wear red. For those of you who are familiar with the 7 chakras or the energy points in your body, or if you're not familiar, you can look at one of my previous interviews with Christian Brianna, Dim Chakras, and we talked about, and she went into very much detail. We even did a PowerPoint presentation on the 7 chakras, but sometimes I wear red for confidence, or I have a red nails or red lipstick. So when I wear different colors, they usually mean different things. But I asked for me to be able to, for the both of us to serve as a medium or a vessel to be able to communicate the right words to help the people that need it. Because I'm pretty sure some things that we say resonate with others and some things don't. And, but I'm hoping that everyone did benefit from this conversation. Again, Meckell, thank you so much for joining me today. We didn't get the chance, the opportunity to talk about your next, your ventures and, and kind of what's next. But I do understand that you transitioned from full-time employment to now 1 month now, so 100% self-employed. So congratulations. And everyone, Meckell is going to Mexico in the middle of a pandemic, and she's going to stay there for 6 months to discover and explore. And I commend you for doing that, and I'm pretty sure you'll do it safely. Again, everyone, you can learn more about me at shawntajackson.com. Thank you, everyone, for your kind comments. This is my Aunt Lulu in Chicago. She says, hang in there, Shawnta. We hear you. We're learning from you. We love you. Thank you. And she also says, and thank you, Meckell.
Thank you.
And Lorinda, thanks for the insight. And actually, Lorinda, I'm sorry, Danielle, it's Meckell. Danielle is another viewer who commented and asked a question. But Meckell is actually our guest. I'll put her name there. And Lorinda says she loves the positive affirmations. Hey, Michelle. Michelle is in Silver Spring, Maryland. We're about to sign off. And I'll just put Meckell's information on here again. You can follow her on Instagram at revolutionary.healing. Again, revolutionary.healing on Instagram, or you can visit her website, revolutionaryhealing.org. And she also has products on Etsy, but the products are available through this website as well. And I had the opportunity I purchased your PMS, less PMS tea, and your tincture to help to clear my lymph nodes. And so I really appreciate that. So everyone, explore Meckell's website and make it a great day. Be safe out there. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thanks, Shawnta.